Have you ever wondered why it's so important to draw your memory palaces and why we teach that at the Magnetic Memory Method headquarters here in Brisbane? If so, there are 3 key reasons that are really going to help you if you're not already doing it, because people who don't draw their memory palaces tend not to get nearly as good results. So that's coming right up. Hey there, this is Anthony Metivier from magneticmemorymethod.com, where we help mature learners of every age use memory techniques at the highest possible level, including on train stations, which, if you want to turn a memory palace into a wonderful and powerful asset, even something as simple as a train station, you're going to want to draw. And you know, you can even draw the trains themselves if you want to, but the reason that you need to do this is very, very simple. The biggest reason, the number one reason that we'll get to, is you've simply just got to reduce the cognitive load that the memory palace creates even on the experienced brain. So I've been doing this for years and years and years, and I have techniques and strategies for just instantly making memory palaces like that, and you develop that skill over time as you get what's called memory reserve going for yourself. But even to this day, I want to reduce that load as much as possible and have it externalized so that I'm actually able to just simply use the memory palace better, precisely because it's been externalized and I've seen it from a secondary perspective that enables the propagation, let's say, of its elements outside of the brain. This is very, very powerful and important, because the reality is if you're doing mental rotation and juggling space that you haven't externalized, then you're doing it cold, so to speak. You haven't warmed it up, you haven't worked with it, you haven't massaged it, you haven't externalized it and seen it from another perspective. So that's really important. And oh, by the way, if you're new here, click subscribe, hit the thumbs up, and get prepared to leave some comments down below or questions that you might have about this. Now, the reality is that your second reason is that you want to chart the correct journey. You want to create a journey through the memory palace that has strategy, so you don't wind up creating cognitive load that you will if you make the decisions mentally in your mind of how you're going to navigate the memory palace. So one of the first things that it does is it slows you down, it makes you think about your journey, and it gives you the opportunity to see your journey from a bird's eye view based on the floor plan that you've created of the memory palace, so that you're making the best possible decisions that are going to lead to the best possible outcomes, which are what? It's the ability to use that memory palace fast, quickly, because you don't want to have to sit there and recreate it in your mind every time you're using it. You just want this wonderfully precise, very efficient and elegant journey through the memory palace that enables you to zip from station to station without having to think about what comes next. And that decision-making process is best done when you're able to see it from the outside. So think of it like a mind map for your memory palace journeys that you're going to take. This is very, very powerful. Now, the other super important thing about drawing your memory palaces, just even when you get on a train and you got to get it done, is because speed of implementation is the number one rule and one of the major values of the magnetic memory method. So even if it's, you know, distracting or whatever, as long as you're prepared and you have a notebook with you, you just whip it out and you draw that memory palace. You know, you might revise it later, but the more practice you get with these skills, the more you're able to just whip it out, get it right the first time, and you use the strategic principles that we love to teach and share with people, then you're going to have a wonderful, wonderful memory palace experience and hit the ground running, even if it's small. Sometimes small is better than anything larger, because you just sometimes need small memory palaces, and we've talked previously about the issues and the problems of bigger memory palaces. But the big deal here is you find a new place, or a place you've been before but you haven't used as a memory palace, and you just take action like that and you get it done, because speed of implementation principle tells us that if we're not taking action on things, the chances that we're going to take action on them decreases exponentially every minute that passes. So you see a new place, you make sure you have your memory journal with you and you make it a memory palace, and then go on and use it as soon as possible. So for example, that was Nunda Station, and I'm just going to go and find a bunch of words that begin with N, and I'm going to memorize them, 6 of them in this particular case, because I made 6 stations, clear, crisp, very pristine, and away we go. So do that and you will succeed, because there's no lack of memory palaces in the world. Every station on your stop, the way it works, you know, just get out, have a look, draw it. Let the brain relax with the information, the spatial information, and then start to use it as soon as possible. That's what's going to make the difference. And consistency. Consistency is the number 2 rule after speed of implementation. And they work together, right? The more that you put things into implementation like that, then the greater consistency you'll have, and then it leads to more speed of implementation and more consistency. So they're a perfect circle. Perfect circle. Do these things. And ultimately, the third reason, and this is something that is really not well enough tapped into by people who are using memory palaces, is that you want to track your progress over time. You want to see how your decision making improves. You also want to be able to look back at all the memory palaces that you've created as you develop your spatial memory and as you develop this skill. It's really important and powerful to have the ability to look back over time what you've done and see the improvements that you've made in your decision making and use of this technique, and then also just have a general memory journal and a journey that you've recorded your progress like an artist would in a sketchbook. So I hope those tips help you out, those reasons, really more than tips, but sometimes knowing the reasons, especially if you're a why learner, sometimes those are the best things of all. So if you don't have the free course from Magnetic Memory Method, go to magneticmemorymethod.com/YT now. You can just follow the link below to get that as well. And what is going to happen is you'll get some PDFs that help you create a sufficient number of memory palaces, because one of the #1 struggles that people have is they try to be a master baker after only baking 1 loaf of bread. Not going to happen. You need to make multiple memory palaces to even begin to unlock your spatial memory. And what ends up happening with your spatial memory is that it unlocks autobiographical memory, it unlocks semantic memory, it unlocks episodic memory. And episodic memory is one of the big things that you need, because you need to take semantic information, which is like facts and names and words and dates and things like this, and you need to translate them into images. And images are often in your episodic memory, and not images of just any kind, but rather something more profound, which are magnetic images, magnetic imagery, which tap into multiple levels of your brain's representational systems. So it's not just about pictures. And that's one of the things that's really important, because often the best mnemonists who aren't that way in the beginning because they think they have to see pictures, they haven't come to realize that a mental image is actually something that combines a number of brain processing systems all at the same time that are unlocked from the foundation of spatial memory as it exercises your autobiographical memory, episodic memory, etc. There's a lot of stuff going on, but it's so exciting once you get into it, once you feel it. And you feel it by doing, and you use your hand to draw your memory palaces, and then away you go. So, hope this helped you out. Hit that thumbs up, get subscribed if you're not already, and until we speak again, keep yourself magnetic.